Welcome to today's show from the Global Broadcasting Network for Bell Broadcasting. They broadcast all over this globe, and I'm very happy to be associated with the BGN network. And today's show is going to be a combination of my honor of becoming the U.S. Queen of Constitutional Law by Supreme Court decision against Barack Obama, in which I had a case, one more case against him. We're going to see all of those cases today, and we're going to be reading the names of the judges who have been holding back America. And it's also my birthday, and I just received a beautiful set of flowers. Aren't they lovely, people? Thank you guys so much. Okay, so the accolades out of the way. Now what we're going to do, we're going to talk about what led to me being the U.S. Queen of Constitutional Law. Now, my network person is going to zoom in on when I went to D.C. to turn in 20 years of work that I did on constitutional immigration. Well, actually, I did it for Newt Gingrich. He asked somebody to try to find out what happened, why the United States government stopped doing the Constitution. So I had my little white stretch limo, as you can see, and it was a happy day for me. And this is when I got inside. This is one of the offices that I went to. This is the office of Representative Kirsten Sinema. Well, she's a Democrat, but, I liked her. I like her pictures. But right now, I'm trying to teach her the truth right now. We'll get into it later. She thinks that children born in America of foreign parents have birthrights. So I'm trying to talk to her right now to straighten her out before it's too late for her to understand. And this is my sexy picture of the U.S. Queen of Constitution. And the reason I wanted to do this one is because everybody said, oh, the Constitution, it's just an old dead instrument and it's moldy and don't nobody want to do it anymore. Well, that's not true, because most of the people who saw this picture have been high up in the government, and they just love it. And I think it's a good way to bring the Constitution into this century, because that document never dies. If you don't like what's in it, you have to amend it. It's never been amended in the past 200 years. So whatever say do, you got to do it. If you don't do it, then the gangster of the Constitution, the U.S. Queen of Constitutional Law, will come down on you extremely hard. Now, what we have here, this is another picture that was taken when I first got my crown. That was, like I said, with the March 29th Supreme Court decision against Barack Obama's executive orders that, he wanted to bring so many more people, and he wanted to say, well, we're going to take your jobs and your Social Security and give it to them. And I totally protested it, and I had some of my congressmen from my district to tell Barack Obama that Timmon said, you cannot do this to Americans because it's not in the Constitution. So he did it anyway. And I was the one, I wrote my little brief and I took it into district court where she promptly dismissed it. Then I took it, that's what brought me to D.C. When I brought all of my cases to D.C., 4 days later, he started getting blocked, Barack Obama, all the way up to the 4-4 split. He went down, he got derailed. So, of course, I felt as though that would lead me to where I am now. I am the U.S. Queen of Constitutional Law, and I don't have to have a contest every year like they do a new queen. If you want to have one, you got to battle me. You can't just walk out with a swimming suit on. You have to actually have some knowledge about the Constitution to beat me. And here's one here. This is my Trump Constitutional Queen issue that I did there. And we had people, once I won that prize, they said, let's take a picture of the Queen supporting Donald Trump. And so that's what happened with that one. And now here we go. This is where the Supreme Court derailed. It says court derails Obama on immigration. My case number was 14-CV-62937 that was dismissed by Judge Kathleen Williams. She got overturned on the district level, the appellate level, and the Supreme Court level when he went down on that 4-4 split. So I feel as though this entitles me, this crowns me, and this is the document. Took me 20 years to get all this stuff together. There are 2 more issues of it. This is part 1. Part 2 and part 3, I didn't need to bring those. This is the one that has all the cases in it, and we're going to read these cases, and I'm going to tell you which judge signed what constitutional lie. They made up stuff that was in the Constitution that's not there. In other words, the judges plagiarized the Constitution. So, and this is the one here where the justices on Obama's issue, they were saying that the upcoming cases was going to be a legal precedent to stop Barack Obama's the health care plan he had. And I will read you what they say. Now, this is in Wood v. United States. The Supreme Court's most important ruling this year, 628-11, may have been its unanimous decision in Bond v. United States, which held that individual citizens, people, that's you, can challenge federal statutes when they encroach on authority the Constitution reserves to the states. And the reason for it is anything that's reserved to the states is also reserved for the people. That's Amendment number 10. The decision authored by Justice Anthony Kennedy has far-reaching implications, especially for the government's effort to defend Obamacare. And that was when I went forth and I wrote letters to the Supreme Court. You can show them this, zoom in on this. This one here is written to the Supreme Court saying that the federal judges are in contempt of the Constitution. And you'll see my logo. I am the U.S. Queen of Constitutional Law, and I let the courts know that. And so this is where we're going today. Our show is going to be really, really serious today. You're going to find out a lot of things that you were unaware of. You're going to find out how the federal courts are the ones who are causing you not to have all of your constitutional rights. I know you blame Mr. Trump, but it's not him. It's actually the federal courts. So we've gotten all these things settled. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get back to this later, but we're going to go to tonight's agenda. Okay, we're going to speak about this so-called royal wedding. Duh. I need you people to start thinking. What we're going to do now, we're going to look at the genetic looking difference between the 2 princes. Prince William, we're going to put him up there for you to see Prince William. He is the elder of the 2, and he's the one that looked just like his father. Absolutely just like him. Prince William, he is the one who's going to be the king. It is not Prince Harry. Prince Harry can never take the throne because it will be the little son of Prince William. He's the next queen. That's a succession. So all you guys are thinking, oh, Prince Harry is a big deal now. No, he's not. He's just the man who would be king, wished he were. Now we're going to show you Prince Harry. And you need to look closely at Prince Harry. He doesn't resemble anybody in the royal family at all. I've never seen anybody in the royal family that looks like him. He is the son of Princess Diana. He doesn't even look like her. And I'm trying to figure out how could he look so different from his father and his mother. Now let's think this over now. We're going to put those two pictures together. Prince Harry and Prince William. If this was in America, they would be on the Jerry Springer show. Are you who is the father here? Who are these people real brothers? So maybe he does look like his father, but who is it? So I need a DNA, I need a paternity test before I'll start believing in it. And insofar as this big deal about him marrying this whatever she is, Hollywood whatever, you know, and she's been married how many times or divorced and so many things that she's done in Hollywood. And you guys know what's going to come up later. It's going to be the pictures that they hide. That'll come up later. And I just think what he's doing is a disgrace to the throne. And I know that Queen Elizabeth, she's mad enough. She's mad as a wet hen. But she has to keep dignity and decorum. But I don't. I can tell you now, as far as I'm concerned, and then I'm looking at the wedding list. All of the Hollywood hoes and pimps, all of them, and all of the British hoes and pimps. That's who they're inviting. And this is supposed to be a royal wedding. It was bad enough I had to put up with Princess Diana. Well, she wasn't that bad. But then in the end, she turned out just as bad. So now this one here say, I'm not even going to try to fool you. Okay, I've been around. I've been through Hollywood. I've done everything they do. And I done found me this stupid guy, called himself a prince. And so I done got him to put me out there. So that's the way she is. And that's what I got to go say for this show. All of y'all just falling down, bowing down to these people who are not even real. They're not even real. So I want you to look one more time at both the princes together, and you tell me how come Harry don't look just like his brother. You got to resemble your brother somewhat, okay? These people look like they from different lands, let alone the same father. So that's it for Prince Harry, the man who, I don't even know if he's a prince, the man who would be king, and kudos to Prince William, who will be king, and Duchess Kate, who will be queen, and the little boy that they had, I think his name is William as well. I don't know what his name is. I don't follow these people, but he's a cute little, George. He's a cute little boy. That's your king after Prince William. So forget about Prince Harry. He's just another fake, him and Meghan, and this fake wedding they're having. So thank you for listening to that. So now let's get to something more important here in our country. What we're going to do, we're going to show you about an 8-minute clip from the war that's going on in California. My director, he's going to download what I have, and he's going to show you about 8 minutes of the war in California. Only this time, the white people are actually up fighting. For the first time in 53 years, the white people doing something. Well, they couldn't do anything for the first 53 years because they would have been arrested. But now Trump is in there.
sabotaging.
Alright everyone, now that you can pass by, head on over to Infowars.com, Alex Jones, Newswars.com. the Democratic hate. Resist 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 the Democratic hate. Equality for all Americans. Not illegal. Equality for all Americans. Not illegal. American first. American first. American first. American first.
Looks like they're making a border switch. I want to get in.
Welcome back to the show. What was going on? This was in Irvine, California. What was going on? That was after Judge Titus ruled that President Trump's dismissal of DACA was constitutional and legal, and that any challenges to it are unconstitutional. So, of course, you know, they got out there in Irvine and they was making a whole lot of noise, protesting, and then the very thing that they never expected, the white people came, and they marched them right up out of there. The white people surrounded them. They had sirens. They had loudspeakers, and they marched them right up out of there. So I'm really happy that the white people are up trying to fight, because California is a total war zone. And if the white people don't get up, California's completely lost. I wish the blacks would get up, but they're not going to yet. They may get up when they're talking about shutting down welfare, like we did 20 years ago and 40 years ago. And you can't blame Trump, because President Clinton is the one who signed a bill for welfare to work. All you got to do is Google Bill Clinton Welfare Reform 1996, and you will probably see the picture of him surrounded by welfare women. And on the dais, you're going to see a new beginning, welfare to work. So this is not Trump. Trump has to follow the law that Clinton left. With the way that welfare is now, he's got to shut it down. Everybody re-register. See, back in the day when they would do that, a lot of people weren't even qualified to get back on. So that's why I'm telling you the blacks might get in the fight because the immigrants got all the jobs, especially in California. And if they shut down welfare and you can't requalify, you need to be trying to get up out of there and start fighting against these people with the white people because they have no constitutional ground. And if you listen to this show, I'll show you in the Constitution they cannot take your jobs. They're doing it because of what President Johnson did 53 years ago with the U.S. Immigration and Nationality Act. It isn't worth the paper it's written on, but the blacks don't want to fight it right now. Well, they say, well, I'm getting $1,600 a month, so why should I do that work? And then they always say, well, the immigrants do all the work that the Americans won't do. I guess so. If the Americans sit up on welfare getting $1,600 a month, of course they're not going to do it. But when we tie it, once again, we're going to tie welfare to work. You're going to have to go in and register at the welfare offices. I want it to be called the U.S. Welfare and Employment Department. In other words, you got to register to be employed. Say like if you live in a state like Georgia, Alabama, California, where the farm work is going undone right now because of immigration reform. The farmers have to come in too. Anybody who's got work needs to register with the Welfare and Employment Agency. Let's just say a farmer need about 200 workers. Let's just say if you're on welfare, you got to go do it. Let's just say if you don't do it and you are sent notice to appear to do it, let's just say you're not going to be getting your check. Maybe for 1 month. You miss work twice, 2 months you're off. You miss work 3 times, you're off 3 months. And by then you should be able to find a job. So that's where we're looking at going today. This is the way black people will get involved. This is the way they'll do it. Because they're going to have to work. And they should be doing it anyway, but if you're getting that much money, and you mad at the white people for nothing. I've already told y'all about that. What we're going through, what they're going through right now, it's not really the white people's fault. It's the fault of the people back in the late 60s who joined President Johnson's welfare drug prison subculture instead of staying in the school system that President Kennedy started. And there's something else we need to look at here. Let me get my glasses on. Oh, we got to go to another reason for this. Do you know that everybody that came to this country after 1965 is an anchor baby? You know what makes them anchor babies? Their citizenship is unconstitutional. President Johnson gave them what he called comprehensive citizenship. That means that you can just walk into America, any state of America. You don't have to register anymore as the Constitution requires. He wanted to open up that border. So if you came under that edict, the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act, you are an anchor baby. And any babies that you had are not eligible for birthrights, as I've told you on other occasions. So I'd like to also say about that, why did these people come to America at this time? Because we were always used to them fighting against America. They fought against the building of America from the beginning. The Indians first said, I don't feel like being bothered, even though they didn't have a country. There was just a bunch of savages who fought each other, and there was so much vacant land. One of them accidentally saw the white people, and oh my goodness, then they all got together and said, there's some white people over there. Where are they at? Oh, well, they way out about 200 or 300 miles from here, but let's go and get them. And that's what they did. They didn't try to help build. It took a long time before they tried to do some joining in, but in the end, they wanted to be on the reservation. They wanted to be their own thing, so that's what they are. Same thing happened with the Mexicans and the Spanish. Nobody wanted to build. The people who come in here now, the Muslims, same story. And my issue with this is, since my people had to come here as slaves just because the people who were here didn't want to do anything. So the white man went to Africa and he did not steal anyone. The Muslim kings, the tribal chiefs, oh, they for thousands of years, they fought each other, and whoever went down, they sold them into slavery. So the white man went to the slave store, okay? And then he had other restrictions. He had to marry the king's old ugly daughters. He had to bring them back. They had entourages. And when they got here, they had little villages of their own. They were not slaves. And you can read this at the Library of Michigan on the second floor in Contemporary Black Biographies. So I'm not blaming the white man. And it's like the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, told Clinton. He said, Clinton was apologizing for slavery. And Museveni said, I don't know what you're apologizing for. They better be glad they're over here. Because if they weren't taken by the white man, they would have been sold to even worse people. And they may have been eaten or just slaughtered in tribal wars. So I'm glad I'm over here. I'd like to thank the white people. Not only that, the reason I'm still receiving money for 44 years, honest money, is because I worked with the white people at Detroit Edison. I went in there into the engineering department with one of President Kennedy's training programs. Voila. And I helped them to put together the first perpetual motion 3-tower nuclear power plant. And I'm still getting paid from it. So I like the white people. I don't know about y'all, but I like the white people, So all those who don't, like I said last week, if you don't like them, don't use any of their products and then see how far you'll get. Now back to these immigrants. They're always saying that the United States has always welcomed immigrants. That is a big lie. From the beginning, when the white man first got here, they couldn't stand him. They beat him up. Then even after the Constitution, the reason that they had to write Amendment 14, Section 1, Clause 3, that's the last 31 words, was because everybody who came here got beat up. Even after that was wrote. The way the Founding Fathers wrote it is, if you want to come here, you got the right under the Constitution to come, but you got to be sponsored and be registered with a state first. They had to do it that way. Otherwise, you could get thrown out just like that. No one ever welcomed the immigrants. Never has happened. So all these stories that they're telling you, that's a big old lie. But they want to use that, for today's world, but it's all a lie. And guess what else? The Constitution itself discriminates against non-citizens. It didn't write nothing for non-citizens. I read the word citizen about 27 times in the Constitution. The only thing I read about non-citizens is in Amendment number 11. It prohibits them from using the federal courts to sue any state of the United States in federal court. It says if you are a citizen or subject of a foreign state, you can't use the federal court to sue the states or any state of the United States. It says in Amendment 14, Section 1, Clause 3, the last 31 words, that you are any person. You are not a citizen until you become naturalized. And then the one that they keep telling you guys gives them birthrights, you need to read it. They plagiarize it. It's 28 words in Amendment 14, Section 1, Clause 1. You got to read the whole 28 words. See, here's what they do. they say, well, the Constitution says all persons born in the United States are citizens. Well, they just left out 20 words. That's plagiarizing. When you do that, you can get sued, like Sharon and some of the other ones found out plagiarizing people's songs. But they think since the founding fathers are dead, oh, we can just say what we want. But they keep forgetting. You got the Gangster of the Constitution out here and the Queen of the Constitution. You don't need to go there because I will get you. Now, what Amendment 14, Section 1, Clause 1 actually says, it says, all persons born, listen carefully, or naturalized. The caveat says, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state that they reside in. You gotta read the whole 28 words. And I'm sick of it being done wrong, but I know why it's being done wrong. Some more stuff from the U.S. Immigration and Nationality Act where they overthrew the words of the Constitution and plagiarized it and made their own law. But that is not a constitutional law that all persons born in the United States are citizens. And technically, when they say all persons born, that's a threat. If you born here, of American parents, those parents are already subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. They don't have to be naturalized to be subject to the jurisdiction. That means they can't leave here. If they want to leave just because they want to leave, it ain't that easy. You got to go through all kind of rituals. You got to try to get a passport. They might not want to give it to you. Technically, you're in the American prison. So you can look at this all kinds of ways. If you were born of American parents, you are under the jurisdiction of the United States and you can't go nowhere. Now, if you want to get under the jurisdiction of the United States so you can get birthrights and stuff, you got to be naturalized. That automatically gives your children birthrights, even if only one parent is naturalized. That means the other parent is an American citizen. That child already in the prison, it can't get, but that child may be able to get out because it was naturalized parentage. That was its parentage. So that kid may be able to get out without a whole lot of crap. But if you're an American, you can't leave. No, you better not. You were born subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So what the founding fathers did, they wrote that to prohibit foreign births that weren't naturalized. They sent them to the last clause, the last 31 words that say the states take care of any person in its jurisdiction. So if you just walked across the border, you any person, you're still under the jurisdiction of the foreign state that you came from. You can't get under the jurisdiction of the United States yet because you haven't been naturalized. So all these benefits that they've been giving you from the federal government, the day can come when you may have to pay it back. The day can come when the United States can confiscate all foreign business, and so can the states, because everything that's been done in the past 53 years is all unconstitutional. And you know, my thing about this is, it's not just the immigration and stuff. My thing is about these men are deadbeat dads. Well, you know, as we've just done, we've talked about the black inventors and all the things that they put in this country, and I'm proud of the white people, you know, for taking up their issues and at least speaking to them. But they did take up their issues, and a lot of the black engineers made a lot of money off of it, and what they invented is still making the world run. And that is why I don't like for immigrant men to come over here and start messing with the white man. They might as well get this in their head now. The Muslims, the Mexicans, all the Latinos and all these people, you're not going to ever measure up to the white man or the black man. You never will. If you were going to do that, how come you ain't been did it? Why are you up here begging the white man? And look at your children running up and down the streets begging the white people. The white people are not responsible. And you see, y'all don't understand. The white people already got to take care of the black people because we helped build the country. We don't owe you nothing. And as I've told you, the Constitution discriminates against you. It say until you become naturalized, you're done. So this is the final thing I'm going to say to these deadbeat dads and these deadbeat women from other countries. Face it, you are not going to beat the white man. You're not going to. You know why you're not going to beat him? Because the white man got too many inventions from the black man that he can use to destroy you. And then you got Christine Timmon. I can take the Constitution and destroy you. So why don't you go back to your own country where you came from and stop trying to measure up to American men? You can't. End of that story. And you should be ashamed in the first place for over here begging. So now let's get down now to some of this court stuff. What we're going to go over now is how citizens can file claims in U.S. District Court. The Supreme Court, in a ruling, June 28, 2011, Bond v. United States, held that individual citizens can challenge federal statutes when they encroach on the authority of the Constitution reserves to the states. See, when the Constitution reserves to the states, under Amendment 10, it say, or the people. So you can walk into U.S. District Court with a whole lot of stuff. Just download Form JS-44. Fill it out. You got to be a citizen. Fill it out. Because keep in mind now, foreigners ain't supposed to be in federal court. No way. And at the bottom, when it asks you what brings you here, write due process. That's Amendment 14. That's all you got to do, and tell what due process they violated. And I know that it works because the city of Lansing still owes me $45 million. Why do they still owe me that money? The federal courts, the judges, plagiarized the Constitution, and they plagiarized United States Supreme Court decisions, and they gave them immunity. Let me read you just one of the cases, about 20 of them, where the United States District Court said that when municipalities and local governments violate any of your constitutional rights, they call it deprivation of rights. That's anything like free speech and all of that. If they violate it, they have to pay injunctive, declaratory, or monetary damages. I will read you Monell v. New York Department of Social Services. The Supreme Court held that a local government is a person subject to suit under Section 1983 of Title 42 of the U.S. Code, Civil Action for Deprivation of Rights. And they hold that municipalities can be held liable for violation of constitutional right through 42 U.S.C. 1983 action. This means that you get yourself a JS-44. If somebody won't let you speak or won't let you into a building and you think it's because of your color or whatever, then you can sue them. And this resolution created a precedent that for the first time established local governments monetarily accountable for unconstitutional acts and created the right to obtain judgment of damage from that municipality. So if you think it's because you're a woman and all this stuff, then you can sue. Now, I'm concerned if you think that they're suing you because of your religion, you can't really use that because you can't use your religion at work. Once you walk into a place of business, you can't make them just don't give you certain things and you got to wear your hijab. No, that's not a constitutional right. So let's move on now to this immunity. Let me tell you what the Supreme Court ruled about immunity. On the City of Independence, it says the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that municipalities have no immunity under Section 1983. They can't get immunity. But you got these federal judges out here doing it all the time. But you can't give up. I didn't give up. I've been doing this now for about 30 years. I keep on keeping on with it because I read all the time. I will give you the numbers so you can find, well, just Google Monell v. New York Department of Social Service and you'll read it. And then Google Owen, O-W-E-N versus City of Independence, Missouri. It'll all come up. And guess what? They're going to put about 20 more with it. So our real problem is really the courts, the federal judges. And it's not the Supreme Court because it's so many of them and so many in the appellate court, they can do all the wrong they want to do because the poor Supreme Court can't give about 35 or 40 cases a year. So your stuff just gets stuck in the mire. So there's a way to fight that. One way I want to fight it is to establish a U.S. Superior Court that has power over the appellate court. And so if the district court do you wrong and the appellate court do you wrong, then you can take it to the superior court. And they're going to want to put it right so they can keep their jobs. They're supposed to be helping so the Supreme Court don't get bogged down. So that's one way we can do it. Another way we can do it is by having federal judges on the district and appellate level elected by the people. Yes, we can. I'm not going to tell you which clause it is today, but you can actually do that. And you can fix it where in your circuit, in your district, where all federal judge opinions has got to be, rulings have got to be in the Constitution. And that is a part of case law. I will read you some of the case law from years ago. This is nothing new. Oh, Elliott v. Pearsall, N.R.E. Sawyer, U.S. v. Will. All of this says when a federal judge's ruling is not fully complied with the Constitution, it's null, void, non-jurisdictional, trespassing, and treason, which makes it a non-verdict because you can't rule against the Constitution. But you see them do it all the time. So now you've heard that reading of how you can, and I think I have this little decision here by one of the federal judges involved in one of my cases, the 30 million. Oh, let me see. Oh, he wrote up, let me tell you what he wrote. His name is Judge Robert J. Yonker. He granted their summary judgment for immunity and denied my motion to move on to a settlement conference because the appellate court overturned the city of Lansing. And they said, go forward here with proceeding consistent with this judgment, which would have been a settlement conference. It wasn't me who asked for the $30 million. It was the court. I wanted to settle it for $30,000 when I sent in my appeal, but that's not what they did. They said Christine Timmon sued 2 Lansing City Council persons for $10 million and 2 for $20 million, and they left it that way. Then they went on and told why that the city was wrong and I was right, and then they reversed that decision and sent it back to the district court to finish it up. What did Judge Yonker do? He, just like I told you, he ignored everything the appellate court said. He ignored everything the Supreme Court said. And he wrote, defendant's motion for summary judgment I granted and plaintiff's motion is denied. Because I had asked for $600,000 just to settle it, a whole $30 million. And then he's saying defendants were acting within the legitimate legislative sphere when they presided over the public comment of the Lansing City Council meetings, September 12, 2005 and January 5th, 2006. But that's a lie. When you have legislative processes from the minute it's gaveled in to the minute it's closed, those council people are protected. That means the public can't say nothing or you get thrown out. But once they gavel it closed and go into public comment, now they can get sued. They're not supposed to do anything within your 3 minutes. That's your time. As long as you don't scream and yell and, fire and all that. If you're just criticizing them, that court ruled that everything I said in criticism was constitutionally viable. But this Judge Yonker didn't pay them no attention to the Supreme Court either. He said defendants as local legislators acting within the legitimate legislative sphere are entitled to absolute immunity from plaintiffs sued for money damages. Now, y'all just heard the Supreme Court say you can't do that. You just heard them say in Owen v. I think it was Indianapolis, whatever it was, it says that they can't get immunity. And in Monell v. City of New York, it says you gotta pay monetary damages. They were not in any legitimate sphere because it was public comment. So everybody is wrong, and they do all this plagiarizing of the Constitution. Now, the only thing that helps the city of Lansing and other cities is the attorneys can't read this stuff. I went to Thomas M. Cooley Law School library for 9 years. The attorneys can't read. I couldn't get even one attorney to represent me. They were scared. Oh, this federal court. Oh. So I went back to Thomas M. Cooley Law Library, and I said, well, the attorneys won't take it up. They said, well, do it yourself. And they sent me right across the street to the library and said, you type up your briefs. You need 4 copies, 1 for the court, 1 for the file, 1 for defense, and 1 for yourself. It wasn't a good 2 or 3 weeks later that I had the first $10 million decision. And then when the second thing came down with 2 council people, they said, I said, you can't say that to me. You can't do that. Well, we've done it. I said, well, I'm going to sue you for $20 million. You know what they said? Do it. Go for it. I did. Wasn't less 2 weeks later, I won that one. And this Judge Yonker, he violated the Supreme Court, the appellate court, everything. He just said, this one come out and violated. If these attorneys could read this 6th grade stuff, but they don't know how. I do remember there was one case in Michigan where the women were being raped in prison. Some attorneys found it almost 20 years later and put it back in for $2 billion. So these attorneys need to learn how to read the doggone law about the constitutional rights. You can't just deprive them. They could get rich. Look at my cases worth $45 million from the bail. But they don't know how to do that. So the city of Lansing better be glad that these attorneys don't know how to read the Constitution and they don't know how to read Supreme Court decisions, because they would be in trouble. And everybody, not just me, everybody should know that there is an act, 42 U.S.C. 1988, that anybody can be a private attorney general and file lawsuits on class action on behalf of people. That's how I won this judgment here against Obama. So I think I got 2 minutes left here, so I'm going to read you some of the names. We have Judge Demetrolis, William P. Demetrolis. He dismissed the Obama case with the same story about the Constitution allows him to do that. And here's another one. This is, I do believe, Scola, Judge Scola. Same story. What they did, they said the case was frivolous because it was about the Constitution, and the Constitution has no legal standing. Well, these people just swore an oath to uphold it. Then we got Kathleen Williams. That was the one that dismissed the case with your $10 trillion in it. But when the Supreme Court derailed Obama, that knocked out all of these judges' decisions. Scalia, Demetropolis, Judge Kahn. Oh, you know what he wrote? Well, it's known and understood that the United States has control over immigration under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, the naturalizing clause. Well, that's a lie. Under Article 1, Section 9, Clause 1, it says states are in charge of migrants and imports. And in the second clause, it says Congress can prohibit it. But it doesn't say that Congress can do it. And you can't take Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4. That says naturalizing. It don't say immigrant. It's just more plagiarizing of the Constitution. And so we were gonna get into the Medicare issue, but we're gonna save that for the next time because that's kind of lengthy. But you understand what I'm saying here today. You need to watch this over and over and get those numbers. Go to Googling stuff. Go to learning the power you have as citizens. It's easier than you think it is. If you go into a building and somebody say that they don't want you to come because of your hair color. Let me see. We're going to close out with the phone call here. Oh. Dr. J.
Yes, ma'am.
You are on the air. I'm closing out my show. So will you please say a word or two, and then we're closing out the show with Dr. J.
Well, all I can say is that you've been a blessing, and you're my best friend.
Well, thank you.
More in that library than I learned in 50 years and 10 years of medical school.
Well, thank you, Dr. J. So we're going to sign off today. Say goodbye, Dr. J.
Goodbye, everybody. She is the guru.
Thank you. Well, we're done for today. Come back next week.